Hello, everyone, and welcome to NP Table Talk. We're here today, and we're going to kind of just talk about something that someone actually had asked us in our previous NP Table Talk ventures, and it was how and why did we become nurse practitioners? So, who would like to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
So I guess I would say it's not really that good of a story, but it's okay. I got my ADN RN 2004. Okay, it's like right out of high school. And then I actually thought, okay, I want to do nursing administration. Oh yeah, I did not want to do that. But if I wouldn't have gotten my master's, so I bridged, then I would have had nothing after like another 2 years of schooling. So I said, okay, fine, I'm just gonna get this MSN in leadership, even though I knew I was not going to use it, and I still haven't used it, like a week later. So then I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So then I'm like, well, maybe I'll do med school. But then if you don't know all the information about med school, I had no idea. Like, it's a common application. You apply to at that time there was like 6 public med schools in Texas, and it's a lottery. So you don't know where you're going to go. I had kids by then. And then even residency is another lottery. So it's like, I can't just pick up and move at least twice. So I was like, okay, then what? So I'm like, oh, a nurse practitioner. I think, okay, that I can do that. Like, then I'm still furthering my education. I'm helping with patients, but I don't have to move, right? So then I got my NP, and that was in 2013. Did that for a while. Yeah, what is this, year 11? And a few years ago, I got my DNP, so I got my doctorate in nursing practice, and then that focus is actually on healthcare law legislation. So that's my story, right?
Well, to speak for me on you, administration, I could see you in it, but we're thankful that you chose to become practicing into the acute care world, because we're blessed to have you in the community for that, Christy, for sure. I just wanted to say that about you, because that's definitely a road I'm happy
But
that
we
you went
joke
on.
so much. I could not be in it.
I'm just saying that. But we love our administrators.
It takes all kinds of us.
Individuals to make it all happen, for sure. So I can share my story. My story, my first contact with a nurse was back when my grandmother was passing of breast cancer with metastasis, and so I saw the hospice nurse, and I was like, well, wow, that's interesting. And then as I grew up, my brothers went to the military, and when I graduated, my family was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? My mom didn't want me to go to the military. I was 16, and again, college wasn't big for us, and we came from underprivileged background, a single mom, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I didn't know what to do other than go to the military like my brothers had. And so I said, well, there's a local college down the road, and I can go to college. What am I good at? And in high school, I was good at science. So
were you good at talking?
I was always good at talking. Anybody who knows, actually in kindergarten, I was in the box by myself. So yes. But so as I grew, I went to, I said, well, I'm good at science. So it kind of led me into the nursing science world at Del Mar. And it just took off. I first saw a nurse practitioner there who was an orthopedic nurse practitioner, and I was like, wow, I like that. And then I went to school and graduated from Del Mar College, and then I said, I'm still going to be a nurse practitioner. So I still kind of went and did the kind of basics, and I was young then, so I said, I'm going to take a break from school, and I went and traveled, and then I came back, and I've been in an array of specialties, as everybody kind of knows on that end. And then I came back to start a family, and I applied for the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Nurse Practitioner Program, and I was blessed to get in. But a different track that I did was ADN to MSN, and not everybody does that, and so it's a bit different. So I had so many years of experience prior to going into that program. So again, nurse practitioners are brought up differently, because I always like to say we're kind of that blue collar learning kind of a profession, where I've been on the unit, I've been holding hands of patients for many years, and then I get into a nurse practitioner program and learn so much more to provide for my community. And I chose family nurse practitioner because there's a deficit with primary care. So that was kind of my track that I took into the nurse practitioner world. And I gotta say, I love our profession, guys. Like, for real, I love
And
what
it's
we
so
do.
versatile.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you traveled for
Yeah.
years. And,
Yeah. And my husband's a nurse, so we all traveled together, and that was so much fun, you know. And
actually, that's where we met. It was they were back.
yeah, we
not
just moved
traveling.
back. Exactly.
And
we met
we all
in
worked in the ER together.
we worked in the emergency room.
We won't say what year that was.
Yes, at least 5 years ago is what we stick with. But that's definitely something that we did get along with. And you're right, with nursing, it's so versatile where, you know what, you can be in administration, you can be in case management, you can be in nephrology, and then say, you know what, there's so much more in nursing. And we are always training and growing people within our systems and clinics and facilities, and they make great nursing leaders. Where I know this one was a DON at one point, but she'll share her story in a second. So go ahead, Margie.
All right. Well, speaking about, did you like to talk? When I was younger, my report cards always said Margie talks and disturbs others.
So then we definitely have that in common. Yes. Okay. Then it's
Not so
just
much
me.
now, but then I was. So I became a nurse because my dad was always ill when I was little, and back in those days they didn't allow children to go into the hospital. So my mom would take me into the window so that I could see my dad. And at that time when I would see my dad, I always told him, Daddy, I'm going to grow up and be a nurse because I'm going to take care of you. And he always thought that I was going to be a school teacher. He says, but I never veered off of telling him I was going to be a nurse. And until this day, you know, I love it. I'm so glad I became a nurse. And of course, I did a different route. I went from LVN to RN, and then from RN, from the ADN, I waited. My husband, when I married him, he was active military, so I had to take care of my daughter. I couldn't really go into school. So when he retired is when I told him, okay, I'm ready to go back to school. So I did. I got to use his benefits. Thank you to my husband and his military service. And so from there, I went a different, as we talked about on a previous pod, the adult gerontology route, because I've always worked in long-term care. And I loved it. So I loved taking care of the elderly. So I knew that's the route I wanted to do. I know if I did the F&P route, pediatrics was never something I wanted to do. So, but gerontology is my passion. So I went from the bachelor's degree from the ADN to a bachelor's degree and then to a master's degree to finish my nurse practitioner. So,
That's commendable, honestly, even with the military aspect and serving as a wife. And that's actually a feedback I've had with nurses is that their spouses are in the military, and so they have to pick up and go frequently different places. And being a nurse, they're able to get that job in different arenas. So that's always amazing. Again, even with employment, how versatile it is to find a job, because there's so much of a need for us to help take care of people. You know, and it's amazing.
Have the nurse compact licensure.
That's
true.
That's right.
That's
So
true.
as a registered nurse, as long as you're in that,
Those
it's
states.
all
Compact state.
It's not all 50
Okay,
states.
but it's-
They're,
it's
they're
like
trying.
4
We try.
years. It's a lot.
We try to get there, but yeah, you're right.
But
With the
so
compact
like
state.
then your Texas license works in California, like New York,
in
like
various
several-
places. I know,
yeah.
like I had to apply for Georgia and Hawaii and those type of places, but yeah, but
But
like
it's it's much simpler.
like I didn't have to get one in Maryland because it was a
reward.
compact
Yeah,
state.
exactly.
You know, Arizona, same thing, compact state. I didn't have to apply for a specific licensure on that. But going back to even what Margie said, where you know you had a passion for caring, and at the very beginning, she wanted to take care of her father, and then even your specialty, it's like taking care of an older person,
Exactly.
and that's amazing that you know you kind of knew that, and then you still went through LVN and RN, and again, every member of the team is important when taking care of individuals, and that's what I love about nursing is that it's never this is the only path I have. You know, it's so.
What do I want this year?
Yeah. What do I want to do? You know, it's amazing.
What do I want to be when I grow up? I still don't know.
I-
It could change, you know, like I could still get like a specialty certification.
Exactly. We're always, and that's, you're right, you're always learning and you're always going for more and more in nursing, and we're always trying to mold to the needs of the community. And I love being a nurse, and I truly say that every time, because I'm sure even my colleagues in the past, they're like, Lala, why don't you become a doctor or something? And at the end of the day, my passion is nursing, and I love what we do and what we stand for, and I love my colleagues, I love my physicians and everybody else in between. But what we do in the community and meet the needs every day is something that I hold true, and I'm sure these wonderful ladies do too. So I'm thankful for those opportunities that we have, for sure.
Yes, I wanted to mention there was actually a nurse practitioner that I met during as a director of nurses in a long-term care facility, and it was through her, seeing her on how she delivered care, her compassion, and it was by her actions is when I wanted to become a nurse practitioner. I really looked up to her. I really respect her, and she's still, practicing NP, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say names or not, am I?
It's up to you.
But I wanted to say thank you to Donna Jackson.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
was a nurse.
yeah.
She is very great. She's a beautiful person inside and out, and a wonderful nurse practitioner. So she was the reason I became a nurse practitioner.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad that she gave you that passion,
She
because you are
did.
valuable, my friend. Like, truly, I've been privileged to work with Margie, and as well as Chrissy, we've both been privileged to work with Margie. And she has a special touch with her patients, for sure, that I commend, for sure.
Yeah, we're
Thank you,
all
guys.
very different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like a treat 'em and street 'em.
She's very compassionate. I think we're all compassionate, but you know what I mean. She really feels it, and sometimes I have to tell her it's okay.
Yeah.
Because as nurses, you all know that we have those rough days, and we have to get through them together, and that's something that I love about it, truly.
And we I mean, not that we don't enjoy like giving bad news or anything,
Yeah.
but someone has to do it, So
Mhm.
I've kind of it's not a funny story, but it's a true story. I had a student I was precepting or orienting, and I wanted to see him to see a heart cath, right? So a STEMI gets called at the hospital, so I'm like, hey, let's go. And we'll say names. So Mason, right? He's a PA, great. If you think he's smart, I taught him everything. If you think he's not, I
He
don't
learned
know.
that on his own.
He
learned
did that
on his own.
after. But so right, I'm like, oh, let's go see a heart cath, right? And so we get there, and then it turns into a code, right? And so then all of a sudden there's 25 people in the room. And the patient's coding, and they're trying to figure out, the cardiologist is scrubbed in, so he's sterile. He's like, hey, can someone go check with the family to see if this is what they want, to keep coding him. And all these 20 people in the room, nobody was budging. And the only reason I was there with Mason was to show him a heart cath. And this physician said, he's like, I know it's a blank job, guys, but somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah.
He's sterile. He's waiting, if something happens, and he's gonna need to start back. So I'm like, fine, I'll go do it. So then I'm like, Mason, come on, we're gonna go, right? And I just had the conversation with the husband. You sit down, you make eye contact, and you just kind of put yourselves in their shoes, for a couple moments. Right. Sorry.
It's okay.
So
It's
it's
okay.
okay.
Yeah, no.
And that's the compassionate part that you have, Christy, and that's what nurses do, is they step in those shoes that some people find difficult. And again, we've held the hands of those family members. We've held the hands of those that have been passing and take their last breath on our watch. And it's difficult, but we do step up to that challenge and talk to our colleagues and show them. And I've been in that OR situation where that physician is sterile, and you have to run that room and make sure everybody's doing right by that patient. So yeah, it's hard, but we do it day in and day out. And I just want to applaud our nursing fellows out there and all our healthcare providers, because once again, wherever you are on the team and what you're doing for that team, is commendable because no one can do it by themselves. The physician, the nurse practitioner, the physical therapist, nobody can do it by themselves without a great team with them. And again, we've actually met wonderful people along the way and created a sisterhood with it. And again, I can't say how blessed I am to be a part of a profession like this, because it does create those bonds of, you know, sitting there and giving those back news and talking to one another about that is just amazing.
It does.
Mhm.
It does. So great, guys. So I think we're out of time. So please join us again next time, or follow us on Facebook, NP Table Talk, or you can email us if you have any questions, topics you'd like to hear about, nptabletalk@gmail.com, and we look forward to next time.
For sure. I'm just going to read the disclaimer one
Oh,
more time.
I always forget about the
It's
disclaimer.
okay. We're learning. The content is not intended to be intended